Hey guys, Seth Anderson here. I'm talking about my outdoor wood burner, hydronic water heater, boiler, however you want to call it. Ended up starting over. For those of you who've seen my first video, I went ahead, well I got it to where it could hold some water. I'll show you in just a minute here, but then once it was holding water, it was leaking all over the place. My welds were all bad. Did learn a lot about welding in the last couple of months. Started out with no knowledge, so I don't necessarily mind too much. It's a good learning experience. Expensive, but anyways, started over. My welds were all leaking. I re-welded everything, still leaked, re-welded, went through a nightmare of that. I ended up deciding it's better to just start over after my third layer of welds. I did find out what happened. I ran out of 6013 welding rods, and I moved to a 6011 because I had some left over, and I didn't like it because it was splattering all over the place, and it seemed pretty violent. But anyways, it was a much better weld because it was penetrating a lot deeper. So I had one edge that I'd done completely with 6011. That was the only side that did not leak. I went over everything with 6011 a few times, just couldn't get a good weld because I had too much volume on it and they kept leaking. But anyway, so what I've got, this is my old one. This is one you saw in the first video. If you want to see, I'm going to switch over here to macro mode. These are my welds down here. They just look crappy. That's after a couple of beads going on it. Over here some more. Try to get that light there. But anyways, leaks a lot. So I started over. I went with a new design. This time I don't have, let me go back here. This time I don't have, if you remember, I had the slant on the inside in here. This roof right here actually slants. Originally I was going to put some water lines going in through here that would go across. I ended up scrapping that idea just due to the maintenance factor that I couldn't get in to re-weld. So I went with this one. It's just a real simple square design. This is actually the firebox with the chimney just sitting there. It's not actually welded in yet. It's kind of crooked in the spot that it's at anyways. But I went with a little bit bigger firebox. I've got a 36 by 48 inch firebox. I'll post all of my dimensions online. I don't actually have them off the top of my head here, but basically I've got a 24 inch by 24 inch door, a 48 this way by 36 that way firebox. It's on the inside dimensions. Well, it's quarter inch difference, but anyways, got that. And then I've got my outer box here. The water jacket, of course, is giving me the space in the middle. This piece up here is just sitting here. It's actually going to go on the bottom, is my base. That angle bar back there I'm going to end up taking off. That was just there to hold it square while I welded. But what I did differently here this time, the biggest difference was everything's been welded flat to the ground. I guess you'd call that horizontally. So I got a much better weld out of all of my welds. Like over here you can see now, this is my new welds. They're still not perfect, but I have a strong feeling they're going to be waterproof. I'm going to go through like places like that right there. Right there, I'll re-weld those. I'm going to go through and just inspect everything, but not even those. I don't think those are going to leak, just because you can see the indentation that I've got there, how it kind of bites in. It's pretty deep weld, so there's a lot of metal there that's been displaced. For anybody that has welding advice, please let me know. I'm always open to suggestions. I knew nothing about welding when I started, except for a 9-week or 16-week class I took in high school. I think it was 9 weeks because part of it was small engines. But anyways, so everything, you know, so I took this piece and rolled it that way, and while that was laying on the ground I welded these ones. And inside I went with a really strong weld on one side, and by that I mean I took my welding rod and I really went up into the edge. Went up into the edge and then down, and real slow, just kind of moved it like this. On the other side then, on one side of everything, I did it a different way. Let me see if I can find one here. Yeah, this one right here is a good example. And here I just took my welding rod and just came down. Actually, I was going the other way, I was going this way, but just come along and just kind of, you know, just pushing it up into itself and getting good penetration through there. So everything's got 2 welds on the inside and the outside, and that was another benefit that I have with this, is that all my vertical pieces are welded inside and outside. My base on the outside will be welded on one side only, and that's because I'm going to take that base top up here, set it down on the ground, set this piece on it, and then weld it. Another thing I did with this design that I didn't necessarily with the other one is everything's got an overlap. And you can see here I've got quite a bit of an overlap. I ended up over here, originally I had an 8-inch, you can see up here it's an 8-inch base, and I've got about a 1/2 inch to 1 inch that it'll sit in, so I've got about 6 or 7 inches of water jacket in there. And out here, what I realized later on was if I had this piece 8 inches out in front of that piece, that my I guess you call it my throat here, or my jamb of my door would be so thick that I'd end up having, you know, probably a 10 or 12 inch jamb, because I wouldn't end up having that door jamb come out. And remember, this is the outside, so it's gonna, the inside will sit about right here, and it'll come out. And what I want to do is bring the door out, so that the door comes out about 6 or 8 inches in front of this piece, so that my insulation can be right up to that. My metal roofing will go right up to that edge, and come out there for the door to sit into. So anyways, so I had to, that was kind of an afterthought, so I ended up scooting that back. It won't be too bad, just because this will still be inside of my outer insulated metal portion, and then of course the top is going to sit right on here. I don't have the metal for the top yet. I'm going to end up setting this piece on top of that piece with that jamb, or with this base. This base will be underneath there again, and then when I set it on there, I'll measure. Basically, I don't like cutting out that chimney out of a big piece, so I'll measure from the back of it to the chimney as one piece, and then I'll have 2 pieces on both sides of the chimney, and then another piece up front. Basically similar to what I did on this design. You can see I've got the chimney in there, and just to show you an example of what I'm talking about, this is what my original welds looked like. You can see there's a lot of potting there, right? Yeah, just bad. I don't know all the welding terms, but I know it's not good. One thing I found out was I had my current turned down way too much. I was running, I think at about 80 amps on AC. This is what I've used for the whole project here so far, is my Hobart stick-made LX. Yeah, I had my voltage right now. I'm on DC, and we're set at about 100, I'd say. And I actually turned that down a bit for that 3/16 inch metal. The outer jacket is 3/16, the inner is 1/4 inch. Excuse me. The other thing I also did was I switched over to DC instead of AC welding. I was running AC for that unit, and I was running too low. And on a 6013, I think the 6013 welding rod would have worked if I would have cranked the voltage up. I was a little too shy on really cranking that up. And like I said, I was at about 70 on the first one. So anyways, there's my project so far. I also want to run over here real quick and just show you it's an unfinished doghouse so far. The wood burner is taking precedence. I've got my pad poured over here. If you saw my video on how I made the insulation, you see I've got a good solid bit of insulation there. It's fairly tight around there. I think that's going to be pretty good. I ran 8-inch. A lot of people are running 4-inch, or maybe that's 6-inch. I forget. I'll find out and post a note on the video page. But anyways, I put that in. It's going underground here, heads over towards the house. Once I buried that, I put some sawdust. I had some wood chips. Put wood chips on it. Just probably a 5-gallon bucket full every foot or so. Just dump a 5-gallon bucket and dump a 5-gallon bucket and just keep moving on down. But I'm hoping that adds an extra layer of insulation. Plus I've got it down about 36 inches. So I don't think I'm going to have any loss there. And that's the concrete pad then we've got poured for the unit to sit on. It's 8 foot by, I think we went with 16, maybe it was 14 and a half. But anyways, it's plenty big enough if I ever decide to upgrade my unit. So anyways, there's the project. If you got any questions or comments or advice, I'd love any input you got. Hopefully I'll have another video here coming up shortly before I put the outer metal on it and insulate it, and hopefully I'll be burning before the end of the year still. It's December 9th now, so I've ended up having a lot of things get in the way of finishing this before the end of the year, so plus starting over. But anyways, I've got a lot less time in this one. This one's probably got I probably worked on it for 4 days for about 5 or 6 hours each day to get to where I'm at right now. But the problem is it's 4 or 5 days over 2 or 3 weeks. So anyways, post your comments, questions, subscribe if you want to follow up on the next video, and we'll talk to you later.